So the entire flight on August 9, 2022, my ears were fully locked up. In fact, they tightened it out so much so that it couldn't move at all due to them knowing that air drugging was lowered. But because air drugging was lowered, I was able to use some of my powers. And while I was using it, they were hitting my foot like right over here, really hard with energy weapon torture tools over and over again. And the reason they were hitting my foot was to try to threaten me so that I would stop studying. But obviously, it was the first time in my life, August 9, 2022, when I actually got to experience my powers, and I knew that they wouldn't break my foot, since I knew that the entire point of lowering air drugging was so a medical emergency wouldn't be caused in the middle of the flight. So I basically just, I waited till the flight went up in the air, and I opened up my textbook and my tablet, and I started studying. And I studied for 6 hours because I knew they wouldn't break my foot in the middle of the flight. Yeah, but they broke my foot as soon as the flight landed. I had to walk with a limp for days. But yeah, it's like first time in my life I actually got to I actually got to experience such powers. And yeah, I waited till the flight went up in the air, and as soon as it did, I started studying, and I didn't stop studying since. So I studied for 6 hours straight. They could hit my foot all they want. They were still using energy weapons on the flight. They just couldn't, they had to lower the air drugging because they were scared it might cause, air drugging might interfere with someone else's medical devices or something, and it might cause like mid-flight medical emergencies on someone else. I knew that. I also knew that they couldn't break my foot on the middle of the flight, since the entire point of lowering air drugging was to not cause medical emergencies. That would be a medical emergency, obviously, someone with a broken foot. So the entire flight for 6 hours, I just studied for the entire flight, and it was really nice. And so basically, yeah, they did break my foot when the plane landed, but for 6 hours, I got to use my brain savant powers. Now, the thing about it is, I didn't have to take a single second's break, and it was the first time I used it, August 9, 2022, but I used it for 6 hours. Ears were still locked up completely, even more than they are right now. Like, I could still move it a little bit right now. April 22nd, 2025, these ears were all the way in the back of my head. Right now I can move it a little bit. On that flight, they tightened it up so I can move it at all. And yeah, so for 6 hours I studied. And I studied for 6 hours, and it was literally like a third arm came out of my body. It wasn't something I was going to tell anyone about, obviously not, because no one would. I mean, if you had a lottery ticket, would you tell anyone? Obviously not, till you cash it out, you protect it, everything, you know, or else you get people like the way they're doing right now. Dad, the greedy framer, he's been trying to, like, he didn't tell anyone he was after the money. He acted like he didn't even know about the brain savant. He's a liar and a scam artist and a fraud. He didn't tell anyone he was after the money till February 17th at 3:02 a.m. when he finds out that my brain savant's about to get freed. Now, even before then, every time he would hear that my brain savant's about to get freed, he would go into a panic, like February 11th at 22 minutes past midnight. Recently on May 2nd, 2026, every single time he went into a panic because he found out that my brain savant's about to get freed, and he wanted to basically get the money from it. Yeah, so basically that is what happened. And so, yeah, the thing about it is, these people are all obviously after money. In the year 2023, before I even told a single person about my brain savant. Now, I only told people on August 25th, 2023. Miss Deb, after the brain savant test was done around mid-May, Miss Deb started trying to get me to marry her daughter mid-June 2023. 2 months before I told a single person about my brain savant. So basically, yeah, these people knew it from law enforcement and not me, since I hadn't told a single person about it till then. So basically that is what happened. Now, excuse me, the thing about it is, yeah, 2 months before I told a single person about it on August 25th, 2023. Now, the thing about it is, the way my brain savant works is it's extremely powerful if the air drugging is removed. It gets even more powerful if the energy weapon torture tools are removed, and it gets more powerful over time nonetheless. So it's extremely powerful. Air drugging removed, tested August 9th, 2022 for 6 hours, and then April 22nd, 2025, if the energy weapon torture tools are removed, it was tested then, and it increases in power over time. The tests were done mid-May 2023, and also November 14th, 2025, also May 10th, 2026. These tests will prove that my brain savant powers increase over time nonetheless. So basically, law enforcement couldn't care less about anything at all throughout the entire time that they've been running this quote-unquote investigation. All their BFFs are people like Assad who were involved in crimes and could not care less. From the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity in life as a child, I haven't been present in any settings, whether good or bad, and the reason was simple. My mother couldn't afford to take me anywhere, and so poverty was basically a blessing in disguise for me. Never, ever, anywhere at all. All I did was work hard in life. And even before then, if anyone even did say anything remotely considered bad, it would be one of law enforcement's BFFs, and that would only be saying and not doing. You got to remember what my dad, the Greedy Framer, was doing in 2011, recruiting people for mass murder of innocent human beings, was extremely dangerous thing to do. And that's doing, and law enforcement handled that the same way they handle people like Assad, who was clearly part of the wedding incident crime, I can guarantee it. And they handled my dad, the Greedy Framer, from 2011 by basically not caring about a thing. They tipped him off where they're supposed to know. My dad was basically giving sermons in 2011 to get people to join terror groups and to mass murder innocent human beings. Do you think that's something that you would go and tip someone off about? No. My mother, for the past 25 years that she's been watched, never once, not one time, not one instance of her ever seeing anything bad or racist towards anyone or anything ever in her entire life. Like, if I'm at a mall with her and I tell her that I'm gonna marry a girl that's gonna be Jewish, she'd give me such a sweet answer. I'd be like, man, if only I asked at home, I'd get the same answer. That would have been great. It's that sort of thing. And my dad, the Greedy Framer, in just one instance of the 3 times I've ever met him in my life, he's mass recruiting people while giving mass sermons from his house in 2011 for basically joining terror groups, killing, and basically he was encouraging people to mass murder innocent human beings from his house in 2011 while giving sermons on it. How did law enforcement handle it? The same way they handle all their situations and people like Assad. Law enforcement basically went and they tipped him off. They were supposed to investigate what he was saying, how long he'd been saying it, how many people he had recruited, how many people joined terror groups. They didn't do any of that. Law enforcement, obviously, their history. The reason I know that law enforcement tipped him off, basically 2 reasons. One reason is you don't just change overnight. My dad, the Greedy Framer, for an entire week, he was giving sermons on mass murdering innocent human beings. One day, he just suddenly changes. People don't change overnight like that, not with those kind of behaviors. And so obviously he was tipped off, and the reason I know it was law enforcement somehow tipping him off, because they have a history of doing this. They'll just be like, hey, look, we're running our sex schemes and money fraud. You're being a nuisance, so can you not just say it in front of Hassan and wait till he leaves, sort of thing. That's what happened. So basically law enforcement finds out about my brain savant, and now they're obsessed with it. They want to frame me really bad, and they try to frame me for the wedding incident in the year 2023, while running their money fraud and sex schemes the entire year. And basically people that would be present in the crime scene and fully involved, you would see, if there was a wedding, you would see people like Assad with the people who committed the crime during the crime and after the crime during the wedding, the entire time throughout. And people like Assad never questioned once. Even right now, law enforcement can question him. They're not going to. He's a BFF, remember? They run their sex schemes and money fraud with their BFFs. They don't care about a thing. The thing about me is, I was found out with one of the most rare brain savants in the world that artificial intelligence has marked as having the most highest probability chance of being profitable out of all the other brain savants in the world. And the artificial intelligence report is there for you to check. For August 9th, 2022, you've got April 22nd, 2025, June 5th, 2025, it's just me drinking energy drinks, and that's able to bypass their torture tools, so that has an effect. You also have November 14th, 2025, you also have May 10th, 2026, all these dates. So basically, yeah, artificial intelligence reports are there, and basically law enforcement is supposed to do a 30-minute brain savant test, which they never did. And in October 2025, I was just brainstorming, not brain scanning. I was brainstorming what I'm going to do, because they were losing their case all throughout 2025, and I was like, I'm going to buy the Caesar machine, which is spelled like CZUR. You just buy textbooks, put it in PDF format, and then you just study it from your tablet. Using an SD card. Anyways, so basically, yeah. And I was just brainstorming like the textbooks I'm going to use, like medicinal chemistry. I was like, I'll finish it in one day, and this and that, like all the other textbooks, like neuropharmacology. I was in my living room, brainstorming to myself, thinking out loud, and I knew law enforcement was listening, but I was just rubbing salt in their wounds, basically, because I knew they were losing their case. And at the end of the day, there's no excuse for inhibiting someone from studying and locking up their brain savant so that they cannot study. So I was just rubbing salt in their wounds. They took it so seriously, and that was the day I found out that other people listen in on my conversations at home. They took it so seriously that they put in my newsfeed. It said, if you heard what you just said, you've just been scammed. And I was like, who is you and who is they? Because I was talking in my living room, rubbing salt in their wounds. So I didn't get this part. So anyways, I was just like, you know what? I'll take you up on that challenge. Meet you in Moscow, Russia, a few miles from the Kremlin. And the entire world's going to be watching. You have 25 days. It's a 30-minute brain savant test. You do your test, it's on you. You don't do your test, it's on you. If you don't do your test, the entire world is going to know and see that you cowered away from someone like a little girl. And if you do your test, well, at the end of the 30 minutes, we'll find out exactly who the liar was, who the scam artist was. So basically, law enforcement thought I was bluffing. And they were just like, yeah, right, Russia. So I went and I got a visa for Russia from the Russian consulate, and I show up in Moscow, Russia. Now, before I go to Moscow, Russia, I made it absolutely clear in my journal, day after day, that I'm going there for a challenge for 25 days. This isn't some vacation spot. And I wrote in my journals 2 days before what my idea was for a zero tolerance coffee, so that people, every time they would drink their coffee, they would get the first effect every single time. I also have innovation tested a few weeks before April 22nd, 2025, also part of my brain savant. So yeah, when they let it go a little bit, I could come up with these ideas, and if only I could use photographic memory, I could work on it and I could get it done in a month. Now, law enforcement might be like, oh my God, a month, how's that possible? Well, they might be like, it's not possible. You got to remember, a person who doesn't have the guts to look at reality for 30 minutes does not have the right to say whether something's going to take 30 days or 100 days to do it. Either you have the guts to look at reality for 30 minutes, and then you can argue. Does that look like it's going to take 30 days or 100 days? If you don't have the guts to look at reality for 30 minutes, then you cannot open your mouth about whether it's going to take me 30 days or 100 days. I'm saying that it's going to take me 30 days, and I've only told the truth till now. So basically, 2 days before I went to Russia, I let everyone know in my journal exactly what my idea was for the zero tolerance coffee, and about my brain savant powers, and that everyone in the world is about to see exactly who the liar and the scam artists are and who's telling the truth. So, so I basically go to Russia on around November 10th, 2025. And after I go to Russia, on the night of November 14th, 2025, law enforcement does a brain savant test for less than a minute just to see how bad their nightmare was. And that day, they find out my brain savant powers were increasing over time, and I have photographic memory, innovation, and focusing. So law enforcement did what you would think they would do. They shut up about me being a scam artist, and the entire 25 days I was in Russia, I stayed at a hotel where I could see the 3 Golden Globes of the Kremlin from my hotel window. Every single morning I would wake up and I would send my mother a video of those 3 Golden Globes of the Kremlin. Every single morning I would wake up. It was almost like I could touch the 3 Golden Globes of the Kremlin from my hotel window. So basically, yeah, not one peep from them, not one squeal from these mice after that. After November 14, 2025, when they got a dose of reality, law enforcement did not make one squeal after that. Not one squeal from these mice. Why not? They were running their mouths the entire time. The reason was, if they ran their mouths too much, they were scared that some other government might pull a prank on them, turn my brain savant off for 30 minutes, and then let the world see what a nothing burger I was, which everyone knows artificial intelligence does not lie over and over again. And let's say artificial intelligence was a liar. I'm not psychic to be able to predict what the artificial intelligence report was saying about my brain savant, meaning that I was obviously telling the truth on the entire thing. The other things are obviously the fact that law enforcement themselves went and told everyone about it. They went and they told everyone about it 2 months, at least 2 months before I told the first person. So Miss Deb is the prime example for this. She knew about my brain savant in mid-June 2023. She started asking me to marry her daughter then. What was the first time I told anyone? After August 25th, 2023, when I won my case that day. I was like, look, I know you have a brain scanner, because I have an extremely rare and profitable brain savant. And I know you know, and I want to study now. I've had enough, because obviously Miss Deb wasn't the only one. They gave me a list of girls, and then I would go to Target stores and people would stop in front of me to see if I was admiring their faces or not. And it's just kind of like, how do these people know? You know, I never whispered into someone's ears and be like, I have a brain savant, don't tell anyone. So how do these people know? And they knew it at least 2 months before I told anyone, since Miss Deb started asking me to marry her daughter around mid-June 2023. And I told the first person about it in August 25th, 2023. So how did these people know? And then I realized around that time, before I told anyone, that, hey, wait, that girl near the Indian consulate in DC, there was a girl I saw, and as soon as I saw her, they flashed me with extreme potencies of hormonal drugs to see if I liked her or not. And she was walking 2 dogs right near the Indian consulate in DC. She clearly knew about it. So that was before May 2023. All these people knew about it. How do they know something I never whispered into anyone's ears? I found out about it on August 9, 2022. And for 6 hours, I used it. So yeah. So how did these people know about something I never told anyone about? Not even whispered into anyone's ears. Basically, obviously, they had a brain scanner. So yeah. So that's what happened. And so, yeah. And so basically that is what happened. Now, yeah, they made me forget using all these drugs. So, basically,